Bilibili's financial reports show that its profitability is strong, but without pre-video adverts, what on earth does it make money? Advertising is a typical free model. The profit logic of advertising is transfer payment and cross-compensation. Through contents, it attracts users' attention, then sell their attention to advertisers who need their attentions. But Bilibili does not take advertising as its purely profit model, so what does it rely on? Cultivate a large number of loyal fans by using animated content. In fact, Bilibili uses transfer payment and cross-compensation. It's like cinema chains, where the main sources of profits are popcorn and ice cream. McDonald's main source of profits does not depend on food, but on the real estate value. McDonald's restaurants cause water cooler effect. The content of anime has a natural connection with video games. It is another special form of Disney's model. Monetize through some channels such as Disneyland and Peripheral products generate a large number of loyal fans through Disney's cartoon. Disney's cartoon split a cut of value over, and the company developed this value, that is, Disneyland. Referral traffic into the game. Bilibili promised not to add pre-video advertising. As users, we certainly like watching without advertising interruptions, but from a business point of view, it ultimately have to be supported by profits. Bilibili's current business model is to rely on content to attract users and eventually redirect users into their games, then make money in the games. In other words, itself is like a reservoir. While storing water, it continuously diverts water into various pools, which are the games operated by Bilibili. One of them, Azure Lane, is a hit, which contributes most of this revenue. The most distinctive feature of this business model is after playing the game, these gamers will return to the game community in Bilibili for discussion, which further produces more content. They enters a perfect closed loop. Bilibili's business model not harass users with advertisements, but also can earn enough revenue through video games. In the current Chinese content platform, it is a good case to serve the contradiction between users and advertising. More than 30% of incomes comes from games. Furthermore, games have an obvious spillover effect. To take a simple example, a group of people are playing football there. First of all, this is a game of their own. However, the game split value over, it has ornamental value. If 22 people play football here, there may be thousands of people watching the game. With the help of live television, millions or even billions of people could be there watching the game. So, another business of Bilibili is the live broadcast business. If someone is playing games there, many people will come to watch them play games. Sports is also a game. If you understand the sports industry, you can easily understand Bilibili's business model. Football spectators have to buy tickets. They may also buy players' clothes, shoes and hats, and other derivative products. Bilibili also has such business. When you see someone playing too well, you may reward them. As a platform, Bilibili will take a cut from this reward. Of course, it has some related expansion of e-commerce business. This is the general composition of Bilibili's business. Bilibili has the ambition to become the most mainstream platform, otherwise it would not have spent 800 million to buy out the exclusive rights of League of Legends World Championship for 3 years. What it wants is more mass traffic, because by relying on this championship alone, there's no way to monetize the traffic. It not only needs traffic, but also sets a rigid threshold to increase the cost of new user entry. This, in itself, is logically contradictory, but there must be a deeper reason for it to do so. The purpose of Bilibili is to build consensus, which is more blending than money. Secondly, building consensus can not only ensure the sustainable output of high-quality content, but also maintain the overall atmosphere of the community, which is more and more considerable in the future. Cross-compensation and transfer payment, free content attracts a large numbers of users. For some popular television programs, Bilibili has campaigns time-limited free for watching. They are free offer for limited time only. It's a golden opportunity. You would be a fool to miss it. Such as the Japanese TV series Kodoku no Guru. Under normal circumstances, non-member users can only watch the first episode of each season. After the launch of the campaign, through on-screen comment, this group of users said, "I binge watching it without a break, and I had watching it in one breath. Do it now, sometimes later becomes never." They also brought big members in order to be able to second watching or third watching in the future. The time-limited free has successfully created an atmosphere now or never. The offer is content for a limited time only. This is also one of the critical factors to help Bilibili retain users. Bilibili is practically a special sports website. On the surface, it is a video website, but in fact, its profit model is completely different from those Chinese video websites. Of course, Bilibili's business income also includes the membership fees, the recharge of bitcoins, derivative incomes, and so on. Multi-elements work together to form a stable income structure. Bilibili's profit model is some kind of Lollapalooza effect. Among a series of elements, a hard element triggers the synergy. Content leads to games lead to live streaming, live broadcasting leads to a series of value-added services. Then naturally produce a series of profit way, such as reward, payment, and so on. This is spillover effect of the game. Players who play games generate income. Viewers watch live broadcasts, they also generate income. Narrow gate versus wide gate. By contrast, those Chinese OTT video websites has a lot of business sources and profit way. They go through a wide gate. But Bilibili is to start with ACG users. Through the narrow gate, Bilibili's profit model is what we pay special attention to it. Its content cost accounts for a low proportion of its total cost. But iQIYI's content cost account for 78% of its total cost, while Bilibili only has 17%. Such low cost means that compared with those OTT video websites, it had obvious autonomy in cost. However, over-the-top video sites have to bear the exorbitant prices from content manufacturers. For a living, over-the-top video sites depend on elusive preferences of their audience. If it had a hit TV series, its revenue will rise remarkably. If not, it will decline notably. They erratically rely on fate. But Bilibili's income is quite stable. Although Bilibili's scale is not that large, its model of management has obvious tropical rainforest characteristics. By contrast, those large-scale video sites are likely to be an incomparably huge bonsai. In the Chinese market, on the long video racetrack, we have iQIYI, Youku, and Tencent Video, like the three legs of tripod. On the short video racetrack, Douyin and Kuaishou, these two platforms compete for hegemony. In the video field, Bilibili has a peculiar style, and seldom arises as a new force. Bilibili's commercialization model, its goal is not more traffic pattern, but user consumption pattern. All the time, Bilibili has been doing one thing over and over again, making friends with users. Before commercialization, Bilibili provided a warm nest for most ACG users. They're looking for identity. But after commercialization, Bilibili used richer content to attract outsiders who want to show themselves and minority cultural identity. Interaction is also a necessary condition for its success. The live commenting culture is a youth subculture which makes people feel more involved. In the future, Bilibili may become a new way of lifestyle for young people. In the co-creation mode, Bilibili keeps free-range care for users. From the perspective of the relationship between Internet platform and users, Internet platforms can be divided into three types: captivity, feeding, and free breeding. Captivation and feeding platform assume that users, you are sick, I have medicine, come and take it. So, the profit model is simple and clear. Input and output. Continuous input of drugs can captivate users and ensure the consumption output, but on the other hand, the cost of input is not easy to control. In addition, the efficacy and quality of drugs may deviate from expectation. Besides, users may develop drug resistance. Then, the user growth is in a bottleneck. In contrast, Bilibili is a free-range type. The characteristic of this kind of company is you produce interesting video and accurate informative content. Let's play together. This is more like a co-creation model. Bilibili earns more than 30% of the income from the video games, while live streaming is also a vital income. But the cost of the content input is low. The advantage of the co-creation model is that the profit pot is endogenous and diverse, which arises from the interaction between the platform and users. Between user and users based on the common evils. Different from those captive and feeding platforms, free-range platform has opened up a lot of creative space for users. This determines that its ecology can grow like a tropical rainforest. Finally, I like to add a taxonomy. The three forms of Internet companies. Generally, I divide Internet companies into three categories. This classification has little to do with this side, but closely related to its growth mechanism. The first one I call it bonsai company. The second kind I call it tree planting or afforestation company. The third kind is called tropical rainforest company. On the face of it, the bonsai is small, while the tropical rainforest is large, but the difference between them is that you have to constantly input resources in order for bonsai to grow. As soon as you stop watering and fertilizing, it will wither. Some Chinese over-the-top video website companies have a large business scale with a loss of more than $1 billion a year. But these companies are still bonsai companies. There are other companies like Bilibili. It looks small, but there are some synergy among the various factors within them. And the result is not just 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, but maybe equals 30 or even 300. Although they are not larger at present, we call such companies tropical rainforest companies. Between the two is the tree planting and afforestation company. Similarly, it grows in the open air and bears some resemblance to the tropical rainforest. It has self-growth mechanism, but to a considerable extent, you need to regularly input resources into it. We don't know when will it become tropical rainforest state, capable of self-organization, self-management, self-repair, and self-purification. For example, the characteristic of Bezos' Amazon, it can form a tropical rainforest effect. Let me borrow the concept of Charimbanga, which is kind of Lollapalooza effect. Lollapalooza effect? It has a lot of elements. The elements can cooperate with each other. One of the elements may be a small one, but can surprise you. For example, Amazon's advertising revenue is dozens of billions of dollars, but we rarely hear that Amazon has an advertising business. This reminds me of Leonardo da Vinci's cover letter. He recommended himself for the Duke of Milan, list his top 10 talents, then wrote at the end, "Besides, I can draw."